Your Voice in My Head is a memoir that my publishers, Bloomsbury, who had published all my novels, had wanted me to write for a long time because they knew that I had gone through a mental descent into the Minotaur's lair. I just renamed Suicide Minotaur. Yes, and I couldn't write it. I tried and I couldn't do it. And then the doctor, who was the one who had really pulled me out and who had turned my life around and saved my life, he very shockingly, very suddenly and young, too young, died. And that's when I started writing, and I just couldn't stop. And so the time was right for this memoir that we had been talking about for actually about 8 years. To want to discover and to not lose his voice in my head. You know, when someone dies and you just can feel it all floating away like a helium balloon that someone let go of the string, you know, and it's really frightening. So I was writing as fast as I could because it was really helping me. And I'm very wary of things that help the author, so I had to deal with myself that I was allowed to do this, and when I finished it, if it was no good, I didn't have to publish it. Because it isn't the best reason necessarily to write. I mean, it's a reason to write, is that it's helping you, but it doesn't mean it's going to be good. So it was good, and we published it, and now here I am traveling the world, going to places I've never been before, talking about the most intimate aspects of my life and my deepest shames, and talking about it in front of packed rooms full of strangers. So that's pretty interesting. I had no qualms about writing the book. I had no qualms about publishing the book. The promotional aspect of a memoir is uniquely troubling because presumably you write the memoir to put it to bed and to finish the story and to keep it enclosed within the pages, and then you spend the next year minimum, you know, raking it over and opening it up again, and it's sort of a Pandora's box. It isn't easy, but then I'm glad the book's out there, so you do what you do to get people to read it. You know, the fact that there is narrative structure to it partly is luck, that my life, in fact, unfolded in 3-act script structure. That's just what happened. But also, you know, this is a real partial truth. And what I mean by that is everything in it is true, but there's other things that I haven't told you that may slow it down or may speed it up too fast, or may just be a different book entirely. So, you know, I picked every word really, really carefully, which is the part that made it so easy to publish. Is it reads like such a visceral, for the reader it's such a visceral experience. It was a visceral experience for me to write, but I had a long editing process, and so I have a pretty good comfort level with it being out there because I had every chance to take things out. I've been contacted not only by people I was able to contact for the book. I've been contacted by people saying, I think we had the same doctor, because he's anonymous in the book, but people, just from the description of his methods, think that they also were treated by him. It's really interesting. I only just thought of this. Either that's true, or it's become one of those things like, do you know, there's a whole psychiatric term, or at least psychiatric study on women who think that they escaped the serial killer Ted Bundy. They may have just escaped a crazy guy, you know, but in the collective unconscious, there is now that for Dr. R as well, as I'm just getting so many letters from people who think they were his patients, and maybe they were. One likes to think that serious literary reviewers are of a different breed from internet commenters who put smiley faces after death wishes about you. But actually, with some of the reviews, I notice there's an overlap. I don't think it is preparation, because it's such a small media. I mean, who reads? Sorry to the reviewers out there. Who reads reviews? It only matters to the person being reviewed at the end of the day. I think amazing reviews probably do sell books. I think negative reviews, I don't know that they have that much of an impact one way or another. But the people who seek out bad reviews are the person being reviewed. To be honest, I think as a novelist, I was so unimportant because I was seen as writing. You know, it's weird if you're a young woman, which I mean, to some people I still am, but I definitely was when I was 19 and had written my first book. And then when I was 23, and then when I was 26, I think, you either are Zadie Smith, which clearly I'm not. And if you're not Zadie Smith, and Zadie Smith is the only person who's Zadie Smith, then you're chick lit, even though that isn't what I was ever writing. And I've seen writers better than me fall into the same strange marketing traps. And it's upsetting to all of us. You know, it's that thing of probably those books I wrote would have fallen somewhere in line with being maybe a female Nick Hornby. You know, and with male writers, there's more wiggle room for, well, okay, you don't have to be Zadie Smith, but you don't have to be Jackie Collins either. But when I was reviewed for the memoir, which did get a lot of attention, what I noticed was cultural, that in the country where, I'm sure this is common to all writers, the country you grew up in and first made your name in is generally the harshest. I mean, I had really good Australian reviews, amazing Canadian reviews, really good American reviews, and the ones that were just like a couple where you sort of gasping and stretching your eyes at the vitriol were British, where of course I was in a version of the public eye, the media eye, certainly from the age of 15, and I can't even say it was like male reviewers feeling threatened by how much I write about female sexuality, because it was female reviewers. There were no male reviewers. And they were either completely dismissive of my writing, as in they didn't mention my writing, and then they said, you know, what a terrible person, and this shouldn't have been published. Or the really strange one, the strangest one, said the most extraordinary things about my writing. You know the one I mean, yeah. I mean, like, I got compared to Laurie Moore, which I couldn't have designed better myself, and then said the book was terrible and shouldn't have been published. But that's a review of me as a person, and oddly enough, I find that easier than anyone saying she's a bad writer. Nobody said that. In fact, the person who's been harshest has said I'm a terrific writer and a bad person. And I weirdly have been fine with that. Sort of, again, gasping and stretching my eyes just at the sheer vitriol, but sort of transfixed with something maybe not dissimilar from delight. That author who wrote that review is not only with my publishers, but with the same editor as me. Wow. So there's like many layers of something going on. And also the funny thing is, in my memoir, as in any good memoir, I'm the first to point out everything that's wrong with me. So it's funny to end up in a position where, you know, you say, I'm crazy and narcissistic, and they're like, she's kind of crazy and narcissistic. You know, you're like, well, I did say that in chapter 1. I didn't think I would want to write another novel. In fact, for the longest time, I did not want to write another novel. Thought I was done. But this memoir has sort of unstopped me, set something free, and I am pretty deep into a manuscript for a novel. And it's really a lot of fun. Oh, you know what? Saying really a lot is a sentence in my all-time favorite movie, Broadcast News, where Albert Brooks makes fun of William Hurt for saying really a lot. Show how stupid he is. So it was really a lot of fun. And I am writing a very poetic and literary version, basically, of a Spanish telenovela. Like, I decided it would be really interesting to take all the plot structure and characters of a soap opera, but render them in a style that you don't see them rendered. I'm really, really enjoying it.